coming up.
Everything to get something out of this grass, we have to feed it. I started searching for the answer. We tried some other products, but they were not products that would give us the results that I was looking for.
Buyers will pay you more when they know that your cattle have been on a good value-added mineral program.
See how a value-added mineral program is benefiting one producer in Florida. Next on The American Rancher. Hello, I'm Pam Minnick, and welcome to The American Rancher. Today, we're at Rafter 4R Ranch in Groveland, Florida. In the 1990s, owner Buddy Raney started a framing company with 2 men and a pickup. Soon, his company overcame many challenges to become one of the largest residential construction companies in Florida with hundreds of employees. A cowboy at heart, he turned his attention to raising cattle. And just like he overcame challenges in the construction company, Buddy had plenty of challenges with raising cattle.
I started framing houses back in 1985. My wife and I met in '87 with some dreams of having a family. We ended up right here in Lake County, Florida in January of 1995. 2 kids. I started a business in '97, framing houses, 2 guys in a pickup truck, and over the next 20 years, it grew into a business that the last 2 years we had it, we built 3,000 homes a year. And we had a truss plant, a wall panel plant, and lumber distribution and ready-mix concrete business. And in 2019, the Lord brought a buyer in, and it wasn't even for sale. And met this guy one night at dinner. He asked me, he said, "Buddy, why don't I own your business?" And I said, "Well, you never made me an offer." And 2 months later, he was down and made me an offer, and 6 months later, it closed. My dream was to always be a cowboy. I don't know that my dream was as big as what it ended up being. We bought our first ranch in 2005. Started raising Beefmaster cattle. Connie and I, we didn't really have any idea what we was doing. We started doing ET work, just focused on seed stock, Beefmasters, and through the next few years of buying all the pieces of property together that we could put together around here close by where we're at, places that I never even dreamed that I would be able to buy because they were owned by somebody that I didn't think would ever sell them. And we was able to put together, we've got right at 3,000 acres. We're running about 800 head of mama cows, cow-calf operation. We raise our own replacements. We have a herd of 200 head of Beefmaster cattle that we cross with R.A. Brown's Red Angus bulls and for our terminal cross females. Today, the Lord's just really blessed us in getting us to a place that we can do this with our whole family. To be a good cow man, you got to be a good grass farmer. And so I'm always trying to improve our grasses, and we'll cut and bale and wrap hay for haylage this time of year, and in the early spring and in the fall we'll put up dry hay and put it in a barn. And then we also are planting 2 different types of grasses on our properties right now. We're putting in Hermothria, which was designed by the University of Florida. It's just one of the only grasses that we can grow here in Florida that sustains nutrient values even after it quits growing. All the Bahia grasses and Bermuda grasses, whenever they quit growing, there's no more nutrient value in that grass. We've got 80 acres that we're getting ready to plant of that. Eventually on all of our lowland we'll have the Hermothria growing. And then on the hills we're starting to plant a grass called Tifquick, which is designed by the University of Georgia. That's Tiff 9, and it's an earlier growing grass, so it grows longer. It puts up more tonnage, so there's more grass for the cows to eat. The biggest challenge is we have a whole lot of rain. And because we get a whole lot of rain, everything to get something out of this grass, we have to feed it. We do soil samples. We started this year of doing a total grid system on all of our properties to where every 3 acres we pull a soil sample and then combine that together to decide what that we need to feed the grass, where the pHs are at, and what the fertilizer is. And then we also have technology with our fertilizer spreaders to where that we can do, we have rate controls. So we put that data into the tractors that our spreaders are hooked to And then if the grass needs more feed, then it puts out more fertilizer. If it needs less feed, then it puts out less fertilizer. Even with all that we do of trying to feed this grass and grow the best hay that we can, it's still not enough to raise these cattle. In my construction business, it was all about performance. We went really fast. We built a lot of houses, and that's just the way that I always think is, how can I get more out of what I have, and how can I make it to be faster? And so we was running an 80% pregnancy rate in calving in 120 days, and so that was a stretched out time. You know, we couldn't sell our calves all at one time. We'd sell calves 2 and 3 times a year, and was really trying to get it down to where that I could sell the calves straight off of the place and have enough calves that we could load out semis. That was just on the grass, the cheapest mineral that we could get, and putting out salt, no real science behind what that we was doing. So I was looking for the answers of how can I be better? The typical answer that I got was, well, this is just the best that you can have here in Florida, and it costs too much to do some of these programs. That was not a good answer for me.
After the break,
I started searching for the answer. We tried some other products, but they were not products that would give us the results that I was looking for.
see what happens when Buddy starts asking the right questions when the American Rancher continues. Welcome back to the American Rancher. Buddy Raney at Rafter 4R Ranch in Groveland, Florida, is on a mission to tighten his calving window without much luck. But with every challenge comes opportunity, and Buddy started asking the right questions at the right time.
Dr. Matt Walters, who's our large animal vet, him and I have been working together from the beginning, and we would talk about some of the issues. One of the major wrecks that we had one year in our pregnancy rates was really low, and him and I started talking, trying to figure out what it was, and it stemmed back to the lack of a nutritional program. And we tried a lot of stuff, but it wasn't until 2020. We was just starting to do our own replacement heifer program. I couldn't find heifers that fit my program that would perform the way that I wanted them to perform. Wanting these animals to get pregnant at 12 to 14 months, and have a calf at 24 months, and then to rebreed back to have her second calf whenever that she was 3 years old. And so I started searching for the answer, and along the way we tried some other products, and they were cheaper products, but they were not products that would give us the results that I was looking for. That's where that we came across the Purina Wind and Rain program, and it has really helped us to get to where that we're at today.
So back in 2020, when Mr. Buddy Raney got back into the cattle business and wanted to really focus on reproduction and high performance cattle, high weaning weights, I went straight to Wind and Rain Mineral because I knew that he would get the performance out of that he was looking for in his cattle operation, as far as the consistent intake to get his cattle to breed back consistently in a 75, 90-day time period.
The first thing that we did was we implemented the Purina Wind and Rain mineral tubs with Avela 4 in our weaning program. Whenever that we wean our calves, we put that along the fence, and as they travel around, they stop and they get them a snack of that, and then they come to the AccuRation starter feed, and our calves are weaning heavier. It helped us to get our calves on feed quicker. And at the end of the day, what that our desire is to sell calves. We just sold some 530 weight calves this spring on Superior that brought $344 a pound. That was $1,900 a piece. And that's stuff that we never hear about here in Florida. We hear about that stuff out west. After we saw the results of the mineral tubs, then we switched and started putting out loose Wind and Rain to all of our mature cows and to our bulls whenever that their bulls are not on the cows. We bred 700 head of cows, and we had a 91% pregnancy. Before that I started this, we were in that 80% range. Because of us going to Wind and Rain, our first calf heifers were 96%, getting them bred at 14 months old. Our 3-year-olds were over 90%. Without the Wind and Rain, that's leaving money on the table. With the market that we're in today of of the average of $1,500 to $1,600 a piece, if you leave 10 cows that don't bring a calf to the weaning pen because of a lack of a nutritional program, that's $16,000. Just by having the added percentage of calves on the ground, and our calving window also has shrunk. Today we're at 75 days of calving, and 50% of our calves are on the ground in the first 45 days. All of this goes back to using the wind and rain. You know, and this is hard work, what we do. Putting out wind and rain is probably one of the easiest things that we do. And we can put out there in an open tub with holes in the bottom of it, and it can rain like it rained today, and tomorrow those girls can go and get a bite of that. With it being free choice, the dominant cow is not hoarding it. They consume it at the rates that they need to be consuming it at.
Ranchers around the country could benefit from Purina's wind and rain minerals, and that would happen anywhere in the country. And one would be wind resistant and rain tolerant. Just a quick story, my family ranches in South Florida, and we fed this to a lot of cattle. When you put it out, it doesn't blow out of the box. And in South Florida, we'll get a lot of wind, and then we also get a lot of rain like we did today. So it doesn't blow out of the box. People don't think about that. They don't think about that dollar blowing out of the box with the wind and a meal mineral. And then they don't think about what gets wasted, what they have to shovel out. So that's the rain part, you know, that tolerates rain. Cattle eat it. The Purina wind and rain mineral, it's a balanced mineral. It's the right amounts of calcium and phosphorus. There's various different things that we use it for in Florida, whether it be fly control or we use chlorotetracycline, a medicated version of it to suppress anaplasmosis. And we have the Avela-4 in it for the younger animals, the bulls, to increase your conception rates and growth in younger cattle. I've seen folks in the 60s and 70s on conception rate, and then we put a Purina wind and rain mineral program together and get in the 90s, kind of like, you know, Buddy was saying.
Up next.
And so buyers will pay you more when they know that your cattle have been on a good value-added mineral program.
Here are the details of the Wind and Rain Mineral value-added program when the American Rancher continues. Stay with us. Welcome back to the American Rancher. When Buddy Raney and the team at Rafter 4R Ranch in Groveland, Florida, started adding Purina's Wind and Rain Mineral as a part of their total nutrition program, the entire operation's bottom line improved.
So when I get started with a new rancher, I like to go out and look at their cattle, look at their forages. If you don't have the right amount of forage, then your cattle can overconsume, and we want to make sure that they have their correct basics first before we just start making recommendations. And then also I talk to the producer about body condition score and how that's going to affect reproductive performance on the cattle. And then I'll start sharing tools with them on how they can improve the body condition score on their cattle. So several years ago, Purina came out with Wind and Rain Mineral. And with the Wind and Rain, it's 4 ounces per head per day. And it's a very palatable mineral because if the cows won't eat it and do not get into their system, their body can't utilize it.
I've got a customer that used a mineral in these bigger pastures, you know, 600, 700, 800 acres down here, 1,000 acres. Cattle would walk right by the mineral box, and they couldn't get consistent mineral intake. So we put them on the Purina Wind and Rain Mineral, and I say, and the customer also said this, is that they can set their watch by the 4 ounce intake. You know, customers that I deal with that have got 3,000 or 4,000 cows, you know, mineral is something that they have to focus on, getting it out to the cows. So it's a chore, it's a job, no different baling hay or working cows. So when you go out and the box is full because the cattle haven't eaten it, then you wasted that part of your day. But when you know that the cattle are eating 4 ounces a head a day and you can set your watch by it, that's the quote, then you know when it's time to refill those boxes. That's very important, the consistent intake.
At at Purina, we provide a complete mineral analysis. We don't skimp on any of the trace minerals. We don't skimp on phosphorus, and we don't skip on vitamins. So you can be assured that 365 days a year, you're always going to get a consistent product. Wind and Rain has so many different formulas, and dealers across the United States will carry the product that is met those cattle in that area, that climate. So you can be assured that the cattle aren't just going to overconsume, and they're not going to be eating something that they don't need. They're going to have what they need and when they need it. And if we ever need to tweak that, we may move them to a different mineral program, like a different mineral analysis, or we may move the placement of the mineral. But the cattle aren't going to overconsume, and they're not going to underconsume, because we have those products formulated for that region of the country. And anything that's not in your forage, as that forage matures, the Wind and Rain mineral is going to meet their needs. And as ranchers, we can't go out and take a forage sample every 60 days to see what nutrients are missing in our forages. So our best bet is just to have a complete mineral 365 days a year. Yes, we may switch to a high mag mineral for wintertime grazing, but for the most part, we just need a complete good mineral that the cattle are going to consume consistently. And we can tweak mineral programs, and we can tweak the placement of our mineral, but it's just important that it's out there for 365 days a year, because as we think about cows and the breeding cycle, and we want our cows to have one calf every single year. So we need to think about our vitamin and mineral program kind of like a prenatal vitamin for that cow, because she's always lactating, pregnant, or she may be lactating and we're asking her to rebreed. So the demands on her reproductive tract are so important that we need to be looking at that. Very important to make sure that she has the trace minerals, vitamins that she needs to help her repair her uterus and get bred back in a timely manner.
Another thing that we struggle with here is insects, flies. And using the fly control, and because of their continual intake, we don't have as near the problems that many people have. Fly to a cow is just like a fly to us. It's just a nuisance. And they wear on those cattle, and they make them to spend extra energy that they don't have to spend.
So the key to the Wind and Rain mineral is the consistent intake, and not just to set your watch by putting it out in the box, but it becomes important with fly control, and the consistent intake is the success to controlling flies in a herd. So as the cow consumes the mineral at 4 ounces a day, that's enough to get fly control in your herd. So if there's a inconsistent intake, then you don't see the fly control. The product doesn't work. It's the same way with, down here we have flies, mosquitoes, subtropical climates. So we have diseases like anaplasmosis that you can suppress with a CTC mineral in your Purina Wind and Rain. And so if you have anaplasm present, you're either going to have death when you stress them, or you're going to feed the mineral and you're going to get coverage. But if you're not getting consistent intake, then you're not getting the coverage that you need.
And being part of the Wind and Rain value-added program on Superior, the buyer knows that they're going to be healthy when they get them there.
Now, Purina has launched the Wind and Rain value-added program to help producers improve the marketability of their cattle.
So the Wind and Rain value-added program adds value to your cattle, which is a premium. And so buyers will pay you more when they know that your cattle have been on a good value-added mineral program, and they're going to look at your cattle more favorably because they know that they're going to be healthy and have a good immune system. So if you're a customer and you'd like to try our Wind and Rain mineral, you would talk to your local Purina dealer, and that dealer would help you to get set up with your sales specialist or someone that could come out into the field and look at your cattle. And then after you've been on the Wind and Rain program for 90, 100 days, that's when we know that your cows have had good mineral intake. And then however you're marketing your cattle, you can get with your dealer and get the Wind and Rain value-added program so that you can get that badge added to your lot of cattle so that the buyers will know that those cattle have been on the Wind and Rain value-added program. So we don't just come by and say, oh, this is the best new mineral out there. We stay with you, we monitor the mineral intake, we make sure that the fly control in the wind and rain is working. We have this Purina Wind and Rain Value Added program to help producers be able to have a good marketing plan for their cattle.
This is truly a family operation today. We have both of our son and our daughter and their spouses and 3 lovely grandkids that whenever we all get to get on horseback and go and pen our cattle and all be at the cow pens, the little ones are playing in the dirt while that we're processing these cattle through the pens. And this was my dream, was to have a place that my kids could all work together with me and Connie. And the future of the Rafter 4R Ranch revolves around my grandkids. Our vision today is to be raising about 1,000 head of calves a year. And as we continue to go, Wind and Rain has earned a spot in the future of our ranch operation.
That's all the time we have today. We hope you enjoyed the show. To find out more about us, visit our website, theamericanrancher.com, or connect with us on Facebook or YouTube. I'm Pam Minnick. For our entire American Rancher team, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.